Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist turned mindset and high performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. My guest today is Chief Consciousness Officer Charley Johnson, who has spent 20 plus years in corporate as a business owner, 7 years in nonprofit as the president of the Pay It Forward Foundation, and 10 years with an enlightened teacher. As the world's first Chief Consciousness Officer, he is working to bring this crucial position to the forefront of business and into companies' awareness. Because, as he puts it, consciousness is not spiritual, it's tactical and necessary for corporations moving forward. Now, that sounds super interesting. So welcome, Charley, and thank you so much for being on my show today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping spreading the word about this.
Absolutely. Charley, can you tell us a little bit about your personal background so that people understand your journey and point of view?
Born and raised in Utah. Most people know Utah to be very Mormon, very religious. I was not. I was not atheist. I was not religious. I was not spiritual. And I say that to give you a background that now being a chief consciousness officer and understanding this the way I do, I had no frame of reference when I was younger. So growing up in Utah, unique parents, no background, no structure. I didn't do well around kids my age. I was offered a job at a very early age. I jumped at it because I loved being around adults. Mm-hmm. When I got around this company, I was just a sponge. I was okay being ignorant. I was okay asking dumb questions. I just wanted to learn because whatever I was doing prior to that led me to a place I wasn't a fan of. So obviously I want to learn something new. Did well in that business, took that business over at a couple years later when the CEO passed away. It was safety, it was security. I really enjoyed it. I flew 2 million miles during my time at that business, and then I developed a fear of flying.
Oh.
But it was just the universe forcing me out. I would have stayed there. I would still be there. I would not be talking to you if I didn't develop that fear of flying. Because a month after leaving the company, I was back on a plane to Europe. So it had nothing to do with flying. It was, There's a unique thing in the universe that really is going to push you into a corner to get you to change. Ran the Pay It Forward Foundation, the book and the movie. That was fun for a little while. So traveling the world, again, flying, bunch of flying. I tried to save the world through random acts of kindness. There was a lot of typical human ego involved with that. Perfectly fine. That was natural. That's how we are. And then during that time is my time with my teacher. Now, because of my upbringing, like I told you, not religious, not spiritual, when I finally crossed paths with him, because I did a lot of self-development, the coaches couldn't help me. And they kept telling me they couldn't help me. They couldn't answer my questions. And I was like, you are helping my friends. You're helping all these people. You're making me feel really insecure. Like, what's wrong with me? Truly, like, what did I... Luckily, one of them was more open enough to say, I can't help you, but I think you need a teacher. These questions are deeper. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't have a structure. I don't know what deep means. I don't know why I'm asking these questions. Nothing. She was very helpful and said, you need a teacher. I didn't know what a teacher was. The universe luckily put a couple people in front of me. So I spent a decade finally crossing paths with that individual. And because I didn't have any background in religion or spirituality, he had nothing to strip away from me. Mm-hmm. Like I was a sponge. So he was teaching me this high level information and it just clicked. I was just, as you know, it's a remembering. He wasn't teaching me anything I did not know. Anything we ever learn is structured in consciousness. Anything you learn, anything your listeners learn, you're waking up to it. You're remembering. You can read it from a book, watch it in a video, but you're remembering something you already know because it's all part of who we are. So that made perfect sense to me. But again, It would be like you learning Mandarin, and then from day one, it made sense and you spoke Mandarin. That's not logical to our minds, right? Well, everything he was talking about, and more people than not would cross his path and leave because he was just too high level. He was talking about things that didn't make sense, and it didn't feel comfortable. For me, I was just absorbing it. So what he did is he taught me and had me read a bunch of books, not to fill my mind, but to strip away the bias and the conditioning. He wanted me to understand that everything is coming from the same source. Every piece of knowledge, every political view, every religious, every God, everything that divides and conflicts this world is coming from the same source. So he helped me create a very unbiased, unconditioned, neutral individual, which then leads to this, the chief consciousness officer, which in business, in a very divided world, a business starting out, a business that's been around for 10, 15, 20, 100 years, why would you not want someone who understands what's going on the planet and is neutral and can give you very unbiased advice?
Makes sense.
That's where the position came from.
That is so interesting. What would you say was the most important lesson you learned from your teacher?
Just that.
That everything comes from the same source.
You can have two Harvard grad, 160 IQ, PhD level individuals. One's Republican, one's Democrat. They both think they're ruining the world, and the other one's right. How the hell have we not taken a look at that and wondered why our world is the way it is? How do we kill people over different views of religion? How are we so conflicted and divided within business, within individuals, with our own family and countries and religion? How is it that such intelligent people have never sat back and said, what's better, heads or tails of the coin? Why has no one said, where did the coin come from? And we've got wellness programs, and we've never had more access to information and knowledge. We have 10,000 books on happiness. We have 10,000 books on life hacks. We have 10,000 books on, we have more than we've ever needed as a human to be better. But we've never been more divided and conflicted.
Yeah.
We've got to change that. Someone's got to bring that to the awareness of more people.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to unlearning a lot of conditioning.
Exactly.
It's not so much that we need more information. It's really about unlearning what we've already learned.
Truly. That is absolutely perfectly said.
Now, as we mentioned, your background spans corporate leadership, nonprofits, and time with this enlightened teacher. How have those three worlds shaped your view of what companies need most right now?
Well, those three are a very unique combination, because most people who cross paths with a teacher like mine leave the world behind. They hate capitalism. They hate profit. Corporations are evil. They go from heads to the tails of the coin. They become spiritual. They go follow their purpose. Again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. But what happens is when you create that divide, if you come back into business to create a wellness program and say it's all one and we should meditate, the business people are going to say, nah, I don't want to listen to you. I don't trust you. You don't like my profit. You think I'm evil. Why would I go meditate? Me having the understanding of business, speaking their language, being in the trenches with them, but also having the highest level of understanding of the universe, consciousness, all of this stuff on the other side, bridging it and talking about it in their understanding. That is can you tell me anything more powerful that's needed right now in this world? We have division. Spiritual people think they're better. Spiritual people think that their path is better than religion. It's just different.
Yeah.
Business is not, they want to boycott. They want to tear down capitalism. Money's evil. Money's for the bird. It's not going away. The system business has built is a great thing. They could use that same system in their spiritual business to grow that, to make the world better, but they have such a negative intuition to it that they don't want to do it that way. The people inside the organization are the ones that have the division and conflict. It's not the corporation. We've got to be able to flush that out correctly, have the neutrality to see our own bias and conditioning, how blind we are to that, combine those two because both sides have incredible things to bring to this world. And a Republican and a Democrat and a Catholic and an atheist both coincide and exist in this world today. Our minds were created to think either or. It's not either or, it's both. We got to bridge the gap. We got to stop dividing. Because your listeners, everyone says, I want to make the world better for our kids. I want the world to be less divided and conflicted. Yes, you do. But every time you choose a side, you're creating the same division and conflict that you think the other side is ruining the world with. So I'm not saying that to change your mind, because I know it won't. But the seed's been planted, and the universe is a great gardener. So it'll kind of shift them in a sense and be less conflicted.
That's so interesting. Now, this brings us to the question, how do you define a chief consciousness officer? So can you describe your ideal day inside a company, what you're observing, what questions you're asking, what you're doing?
They are reporting to the CEO, but they have no authority over other divisions. So because of that unique position, most C-suite they want a team, they want authority, they want a guide. I want to be neutral. I want to help the CEO be clear on strategy. I want to help the CMO be clear on being more creative. I want to help the HR officer hire higher consciousness individuals. I want to help the CFO see the P&L more clearly. I want to be in executive meetings. I want to be in meetings with customer service. I want to be at the watering hole, listening to customer service, complain about certain things so I can absorb it and help the company remove the gap between executives and employees. They're in meetings. They become a secret weapon. When the company calms down, understands there's no threat, understands what neutrality really means, understands me, just getting to fill my energy and know me week to a month down the road. When that really clicks in what this position is, there won't be enough time in the day, because they'll want me in every meeting. They'll want me in all strategy, just to simply sometimes not say a word, just be in the room. Because what a chief consciousness officer is the polar opposite of a cooler. Have you ever seen the movie with William H. Macy called The Cooler?
No, I haven't.
Vegas has done this. They don't talk about it, but the movie is about the cooler. When someone in a casino is doing really well on roulette or really killing it on the blackjack table, they'll bring in the cooler, and that cooler sits at the table, grabs a drink. You and I know, whether you're scientific or not, it's all energy. His energy completely just ruins the run. It'll make the blackjack guy get off the table and quit. It'll make the roulette table crap out, and it's just consistent. His being just in the vicinity changes the energy of the room, because he's so just kind of like low energy. Just the CCO is the opposite of that. Because of my neutrality, I don't have restrictions. I don't have confines. I've not got my mind in a box. You walk into a room, knows the energy. When you walk into a room and someone has good energy, you feel better. You can feel it shift. Well, what happens with that is the consciousness raises. It removes division and conflict subtly. It opens up and takes down the walls of everyone in the room. They're more open. They're going from here, even subtly, to here. They have better solutions. They have better answers. They may see things differently. They're going to be more creative. They're going to see something they didn't see in the past, because all I see is here. See how much is all out here? You go slowly like this. That individual, just by being in the room, does that. That individual, by asking different questions, does that. That individual, helping people understand the division and conflict is created by both sides, does that. It starts to shift the perspective. Because like you said, it's not a learning, it's an unlearning. Someone that just walks in and just says, hey, Ed and Susie, I know you guys really don't like each other because one's Republican, one's Democrat. Ed, I know you think Susie's crazy because she loves Biden. She thinks you're crazy because you love Trump. Well, yeah, I'm right. She's wrong. That's not possible. You guys are creating the same division and conflict. Now, I know that's a childish conversation. I know everyone says, yeah, no, I get that. If everyone gets that, then why is everyone choosing sides and creating the division and conflict? Just that conversation will shift them. I'm not saying that conversation from a point of getting them to go to one side or the other. That's where my power comes in. This position comes in. I'm legitimately curious with a neutral standpoint saying, I don't have a dog in the fight. You do realize she thinks you're just as crazy as you are.
It makes total sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And every time we have these conversations, everyone's like, yeah, I know, that makes sense. Okay, if it makes sense, then why is the world so divided and conflicted?
Ego?
Yeah. I mean, it just truly just pure ignorance in a sense. But luckily, the shift on this planet has nothing to do with humans. It has to do with consciousness. So if consciousness is going to become the center focus of this planet, which it already is, we just don't know it. Just like when technology took over businesses and we started hiring CTOs. The CEO and everyone within the C-suite had no clue what a website was. They can't code. They don't know what you are, but they hired someone very intelligent to make sure their company stayed up on technology. If consciousness is going to be the center focus, if consciousness is everything physical and non-physical, all of our thoughts, it's you and me, we're swimming in it. Companies are going to want someone on staff who understands that, who can help someone understand why they're thinking different thoughts, why they're questioning their beliefs, why they need clarity in a certain, why there's so much division and conflict. It seems like the next logical step for your listeners, starting businesses, wanting to do that first million, doing that, go from 1 to 5 million. You want clarity, right? You got someone like that on staff. They're going to give you clarity by just being on staff.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense to me. But to be honest, to many entrepreneurs, it might sound like a luxury, not a necessity. So what does consciousness mean in, say, a boardroom at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday when the company is 15% down and the team is freaking out?
Well, they're 50% down. The team's freaking out because there's obviously something with the culture. There's something with their sales tactics. There's something with marketing. There's something the CEO's not having correct vision, right? There's a problem. And it's not one. Okay. Well, the same mind that created the problem can't solve it. So the same mind that created the 50% down on a Tuesday and everyone's losing their mind, they need a different mind and they need someone to go from here to here. All of their solutions are they're trying to figure out the same problem they created with the same damn tool that created it. You have got to shift this. You've got to get out of this because all of their answers are right here. And it's not working because they're 50% down. Someone does this. Someone asks different questions. Someone observes. Someone breaks open their consciousness by being in the room. So they've gone here. Oh, wow, there's more solutions. I put my life on the line that every time they hire this position, every time they're in a meeting, every time they just observe, sometimes they come back with a suggestion that makes no logical sense. That 50%, it's not going to be 50% anymore. It's absolutely just not going to be. And you can talk about down markets. You can talk about the timing. You can talk about selling paper in a digital world. I understand all of that. I'm not coming from a spiritual standpoint. I'm not coming from it's all one, it's all love. And if we just manifest correct, no. But there are different ways. If you're a paper company selling in the digital world, if you go like this, you may expand your product line. You may get out of the construct of saying we are a paper company. You can be whatever company you want. Oh, I'm Republican, I'm just Democrat. Maybe both sides have something to bring to the table. You can change into it. We are so blind to our conditioning and our bias and being stuck in a box because what got us here will not get us to the next step. What's happening on this planet, this change is nothing like the changes that have happened in past. Saying that if you don't understand history, you're bound to repeat it. There will be no repeating of history as we move forward. This is a legit, true change of creation of how humanity goes forward because of the shift of consciousness. Now that may sound magical and it doesn't make sense. Mark my words, this is about consciousness. You're going to want someone on staff to help you navigate that.
It's such an interesting concept. We have the CTOs for tech, we have the CFOs for money, and now the CCO for consciousness. So how would you define the problem that the chief consciousness officer solves that no other C-suite role can touch?
Clarity, neutrality.
Yeah.
When it comes to this, when these questions are asked, it's up here. That's all we know is the mind, right? So when I talk about wellness programs, we could argue if it's working or not. Let's go one step deeper. Is the world and your company better with this wellness program. The world and companies and business are more divided than ever. So it's not working. Our heart's in the right place. We got the right people, meditation, mindfulness. It's not wrong. The people teaching it are intelligent, but there's something missing. What a CCO does is it brings clarity to the CFO. It brings clarity to every C-suite executive. It brings a subtle shift in expanded awareness to everyone in the corporation. The problem they solve is this. If I'm a company and I have a bunch of fourth graders that I'm hired, I'm not saying that in an insulting way, and a certain position, such as mine, can take everyone from fourth to fifth or sixth. If I'm a company, would you rather hire sixth graders or fourth graders? Sixth graders are more self-sustaining. They're smarter. They understand the world better. They're better relationships. They're better in communication. They're more intelligent. They understand the world. This subtle shift of consciousness, and again, we're talking about something that's not talked about a lot or understood. So there's going to be an education system, which I appreciate people like you allowing me to do. I would much rather have a bunch of sixth graders than fourth graders. I would much rather have a bunch of employees that are more clear, less divided, and less conflicted in my organization. On top of that, okay, Mr. CEO and C-suite, you guys are all here. Oh, Yale, Harvard, great. Did you say 170 IQ? Beautiful. Company's down 50%. Okay, you're here. You got to expand. If I'm a new entrepreneur, like a lot of your listeners, or I'm trying to build from 1 to 5, if you're here, this is what got you to 1. You've got to go here to get to 2, 3, 4, 5. Someone has to help you learn that. Now, we have a lot of coaches, we have a lot of consultants, but they're coming at it from the level of the mind. Again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying they're not intelligent. This is the tool that creates all the problems. It's the middleman.
Gotcha.
It came from consciousness. You, me, your entrepreneurs, all the listeners, the world. Let's get to the source, have access to all information rather than this limited perspective. NASA did, I'm sure you've seen the NASA study, followed 2,000 kids. 98% were considered genius at the age of 4 and 5. By the time they were adults, less than 2%. So we've got this vast resource of knowledge. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm Republican, you're Democrat. I'm Catholic and atheist. My God's better than your God. I know what's right, you don't. We take this vast resource thinking that we're learning and expanding and knowledge is power, which it is. We've created this. We've got a box of our mind, our conditioning, our bias, what our parents told us, what our teachers told us, where we grew up, Utah or Texas, Europe or the Middle East. Because of getting to this box, my God's better than yours. My political views are better than yours. I'm stuck at 1 million. I don't know how to get out of it. We're 50% down. My company's more divided and conflicted than ever. There's more wars than ever. I don't like you because of your... You got to expand this, because this is what created this. This is what created the wars. This is what created the political divide. This is what created the inability to go from 1 to 5 million. This, well, everyone could say, they argue, say, well, this is also the thing that created from 0 to million. I agree. I'm not saying get rid of it. It's never going away, but go like this. Consciousness does not replace the mind. It enhances it.
It really sounds like your position is all about curiosity, clarity, and connection. Did I get that right?
3 C's. I love it.
Yes.
That works for me. I may have to use that.
Sure, feel free.
No, truly. And the way you view this position is going to be based off of your conditioning, the way you see it. That's great. It could be clarity, communication, and I can't remember the 3 C's. I've already lost. I'm sorry. But it could be
curiosity.
Connectivity. There we go. It could be the way the CFO is going to look at it is different. The way the marketing team is going to look at it is different. The way political advisors are going to look at it. I don't care how they look at it. I don't care who hires me, because all these people doing the protests, all these people trying to boycott, all these people trying to tear down capitalism, they're driving their cars to the protests. They're going to these companies they want to boycott. They're buying all of their supplies. We are completely ignorant to what we're doing. We think we're standing for something and then fighting against the other side. We have done that since the beginning of humanity. Does it look like it's working? Thank God that the natural, invisible force of consciousness is raising us up.
Mm.
This is not a human change. When we're left to our own devices, look what we create. Luckily, consciousness, and if more people tap into consciousness, if more people are aware of it, and they go from second to third grade, junior high to high school, that subtle shift will change this planet and humanity more than any fight, more than any protest, more than killing, more than anything humanity's ever done. Consciousness is going to do that naturally. You're going to want to have people in your life who understand it. You're going to want to have people on staff who can explain it to you. Because as that shifts, the individual starts thinking differently. They start maybe having a lot of stuff they've suppressed. Maybe they think something's off. Nothing's off.
I mean, I'm wondering, what's one
You don't need to get divorced. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to go to the home. Oh, there we go. We lost you. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, sorry about that. I was wondering, what's one misconception about consciousness in business that you keep running into, and what's your go-to story to shift people's understanding?
So everyone's looking at this like this brand new thing, right? They love that title. It's new, it's fresh. How are we going to bring it into business? Everything's consciousness. Consciousness has already been a business. Businesses have had a blank check and they've cashed it for $100. If you had a blank check, would you cash it for $100? I'd cash it for like $1 trillion. I mean, you know, I'm truly like, if you had a blank check that does not impact the world, doesn't hurt anybody, nothing negative happens, I'm cashing that for a massive amount.
Oh, yeah.
Because individuals and companies don't understand consciousness, they're only utilizing this tiny little perceptive divided tool that creates all the problems. What is consciousness is the next question. If we're going to continuously talk about this and you're going to talk about a blank check and my mind's the problem, then for God's sakes, tell me the solution. Well, this wise fish swimming through the ocean sees two young fish and says, "Hey boys, how's the water?"
Yeah.
Two fish look at each other and say, "What's water?" That is consciousness. You, me, your listeners, everyone is swimming in consciousness. Everything came from consciousness. You came from consciousness. The single cell inside your mom's body that created you is consciousness. Your thoughts are consciousness. Your mind is consciousness. The planet's consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental to our reality. All of the scientists are starting to really break that down. The brain does not create consciousness. You're not in your car listening to the car radio thinking the band's within the radio. That's just not the case. Everything is consciousness. And that word is also a construct, but it's the best way we've used to describe what everything is. If that's the case, it doesn't matter if you understand it. It doesn't matter if we'll ever really figure it out, because we won't. But it is the source of everything. So why wouldn't you want to tap into that? Why wouldn't you want to go past this divided tool and go into this vast resource of where every single piece of knowledge came from? Don't agree with me. Don't believe me. Just do it. Just use it. Use it as a Catholic. Use it as an atheist. Use it as a Republican. Use it as a Democrat. Watch what happens. Watch what happens at business. Watch what happens at home. Watch what happens with your conflict and division within your organization. We start to know. We go here to here. I mean, that's if we just did a podcast for 2 minutes. All I want is your listeners to go from here to here. That helps me, helps you, helps them. That's it.
And maybe for them to understand, how do unexamined beliefs and subconscious bias or just cultural conditioning show up in business decisions? And what does it take to actually see them and deal with them?
Thank you for allowing this to happen. Truly, that's it. This is a drastically different perception and view. The way you ask your questions, you're getting back answers probably no one on your podcast has ever heard. That's not my doing. It's because of my teacher and what's coming through me, right? All it is that. Because when we go out to a third party and read someone's book, it's someone's opinion. When we watch a YouTube video, it's someone's opinion. It's someone's translation and filter of information they learn, and then they change it. There's a reason why there's a million different meditation methods and a million different ways to do yoga and a million different ways to do religion and a million different ways to do. It's confusing as hell. Come back to the source. Come back to the source. That's where everything came from. You start to pay attention more to that. You just shift your awareness. We're here because whatever in my little purview in companies, in the bias and the conditioning of what creates the division and conflict is because Mr. CEO was raised in Texas Baptist. Every one of his answers is right here. The CFO that doesn't get along with him was raised in Utah and he's Mormon. And he's a Republican and the other one's a Democrat. Everything that comes in front of him is Democratic. Everything that comes in front of the CEO is Republican. That's where all the bias and conditioning comes from, and we're completely ignorant to it. We think we're right because our parents told us and our teachers told us, and we're in Texas and everyone around us said the same thing. Well, if you take someone born in Texas on day one and put them in the Northwest, they sure as hell ain't going to be Republican. They're going to be Democrat. So if that is true, which everyone agrees it is, well, then that should make us aware of how ignorant we are to our own conditioning. Maybe you're wrong. I was okay with that. A lot of people aren't. So that bias and conditioning within business is created in what we just spoke about. But whether they understand where it was created, the question comes back to the foundation level. Your business is more divided and conflicted than ever. The world's more divided and conflicted than ever. How do we change?
How do we change that? That's the question, the $1 million question. Now, what have you noticed about leaders who are operating at higher levels of consciousness? Are there any telltale signs in how they speak, decide, or delegate that signal they are playing on a different level?
They're more open. They're more authentic. And authenticity does not mean kindness and love and happiness. They could be like Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Truly. I'm sure you've seen, everyone thinks the highest vibration on this planet is love because that's what we want it to be. It's not. It's authenticity. When we're being authentic, we are in line with what the universe wanted from us in this incarnation. When we're authentic, we get shit done. We can get shit done through being kind, or we can get shit done by being driven and telling people, you don't work for the company anymore. I need someone who's more aggressive. That's fine. See, we always look at everything in our moral compass, our ethics. But what's ethical to a Catholic is not ethical to an atheist. What's moral to a Republican is not moral to a Democrat. So we always lump in corporations or what we don't like. We always lump in it's wrong and evil. We've got to get past the division and the conflict. We have to.
That brings me to the next question. So what happens if we have, say, two leaders inside a company who are operating at different levels of consciousness? Is that a recipe for collapse or transformation, or how do we navigate that tension?
My suggestion would be have a chief consciousness officer on board to slowly and very methodically and very neutrally show those two leaders the difference of each other, why it's different, give them a more clear understanding, a deeper understanding that both sides are not right and they're not wrong. Again, conversations like this, no coach, no consultant can do that. They can't because they don't have the training with the teacher and they don't have the neutrality. Everyone thinks that when a coach or a consultant comes into an organization, they're neutral. They're not. They still have their own bias. They still have chosen a path with religion, for politics, everything. This position is so powerful. It's because of that neutrality. And I'm when I say that stuff, I'm not saying the consultants and the coaches are wrong. What they're teaching is right. It is intelligent. It does help individuals. It does help companies, but they're closed off. You as a consultant could come in and for some reason they did research on you and they saw a post on Instagram and they saw that you were at a protest for Trump. That changes the whole dynamic. And everyone says, well, that shouldn't matter. It sure as hell does, because people do research. So you could come in and say, I'm neutral. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I'm only here for a couple of weeks. You're paying me a small fortune. Half the company could not listen. because they can feel it. That maybe you say something, maybe you joke about politics, or maybe you say something about God, and there's a couple atheists in the room. The neutrality of this position is where the power comes in. Having someone neutral on staff is going to be incredibly crucial, which comes back to your question. 2 great leaders, 2 intelligent leaders, very divided, very conflicted. You have someone like me on staff, there's going to be less division and conflict. That's all you can hope for.
I have another C word for you. You provide context, a lot of context.
Context, curiosity, communication, clarity. I like it. No, that's you know what? I love that word. You're creating context for, because everything is taken out of context, right? Exactly. I'm bringing context to both sides and the whole story for people. So yeah, that's great. I need to use that too.
Feel free to do that. Now, in a world where AI is rapidly outpacing human capabilities, what happens to a workforce that becomes technically competent but emotionally and spiritually hollow? So how does your position act as a counterbalance?
So just a shift in perception of what artificial intelligence is. We call it artificial. Who created it? Why is it artificial? Everything is consciousness. Artificial intelligence is just something we created because our mind was divided and we didn't have access to the whole. That's it. For the people that are losing their jobs over it, I'm not saying it's the best thing since sliced bread. For the people who are using it and think it's the best thing since sliced bread, I'm not against it. All I'm saying is if we look at things from a deeper level, we remove the conditioning and the constructs of what we think it is, because AI is just like politics. You're either really against it or you think it's the worst thing ever. That division is where the AI is not the problem. The division it creates because of how humans are built is the problem. Politics are not the problem. Capitalism's not the problem. Religion's not the problem. God's not the problem. It's how humans interpret it and create the division and conflict. Artificial intelligence is going to change everything. I can't imagine the fear some people have right now because of losing their jobs. Yeah. I can't, but I'm not for it and I'm not against it. I'm just saying, can we look at it in a different way? Watch what comes from it. Know there's probably going to be ups and downs like everything else we've ever done, and just come out with a more clear perspective.
Yeah. Now, fast forward 10 years, what does the modern company look like when the CCO is as standard as the CFO? And what kind of employees, culture, and decisions does that create?
Less division and conflict.
Love it.
That's it.
Simple and easy.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Look into consciousness. Look into the different perspectives, the different opinions, just for the simple fact that just like technology 20, 30, 40 years ago took over, consciousness is going to take over. It's going to be the center focus. It already has been. We haven't been paying attention to it, but more people are going to be paying attention to it because it is the source of everything. If that's the case, just read about it, learn about it, get an understanding about it, reach out to me and ask questions about it. I'll leave you my LinkedIn profile. Come into LinkedIn, watch my post to see what I talk about, what it is, what it's not, how it works, how it's bad, this, that, everything in between. But look into consciousness because it's going to be the center focus of everything.
Do you have any favorite books on consciousness that you can recommend, or any other sources?
Go listen to both sides. Not a book, but go listen to Donald Hoffman and Bernardo Kastrup talk about the fundamental nature of consciousness. Learn about it from that really high level scientific lesson, and then go into something like Dr. Hawkins' levels of consciousness, the 0 to 1,000 type of thing. I don't really have specific books because they're just opinions of the individual. So I really Google search consciousness, see what comes up, check out all difference of opinion, just so you can see the full scope, the full picture, and you can determine for yourself what you think it is.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Now, where can people find you online if they would like to connect with you or learn more about your work?
LinkedIn, and I'll send you that link, and you could put that in the video because that's LinkedIn is the best. I don't have a website. I want them to see LinkedIn. I want them to see the current live nature of the verbiage and the context that consciousness is being described as.
Okay, I'll definitely add that to the show notes. So, Charley, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us today. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Keep up the great work. Take care and talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show or share it with a friend. That way you can support the show and help me reach and support other entrepreneurs like yourself as well. If you would like my help to figure out how you can go from overwhelmed and overworked hustler to empowered and confident leader, check out my website at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions and book a free 20-minute strategy session with me. Can't wait to help you get wired for success. Until next time, take care. Bye.